I just happened to look out the side of my hole. Everything was quiet. Of course, we'd got a lot of artillery fire, and there's firing these flares, and it's fog in the mountains at night. You get fog and smoke. You can't see who's coming anyhow, but we didn't see anybody coming. But I happened to glance over the side, and I seen this rifleman down here at the hole, looking down in front of that place, that deep spot that we couldn't see. And I seen him slowly slide that M1 rifle down, and I seen him put his head down, fired 2 rounds. And then, of course, they fired more artillery then and more lights, but you couldn't see. They floated down by candle parachutes. No big attack came. It was supposed to be a big attack, they said, but it didn't come. In the morning, we looked down and see what he shot at. It was an Imperial Japanese Marine about your size, a great big tall guy, heavy guy. He was more heavier than you. He was a muscle guy. He was sitting with his back to the wall. His eyes were wide awake, had a hard stick match sticking in his mouth, and he had a block of explosive block about 8 inches long, and he had rocks, glass, bolts tacked around with tape, and had this fuse coming out. So what he was going to do was get that match, light it, and throw that thing up a little heavier than he did before, throw it back a little heavier, and it would come right up in front of the face of our cliff in our hole, in our gun emplacement. But he never got a chance to do it, because he died with his eyes open, kept his match in his mouth. But that's how close we come to being destroyed right there, twice in one night. I always remember that. It's just a feeling you just don't forget them kind of things. And anyhow, we went on. It ended up in the rifle companies you got to seek, close with, and destroy. And how we do that. I was a platoon leader because we didn't have any lieutenants. They were sending all the lieutenants to Europe to get that war over there as platoon leaders. So most of your sergeants were platoon leaders. But what you have to do on these explosions, you talk all the time with the artillery people. A lot of times they'll talk to you. We had radios, Signal Corps radio, 536, would go about a mile. But you could talk to maybe your company commander, and he could relay it on a bigger radio. We could tell him where we asked fire be artillery to put on. Artillery's back 10, 12 miles somewhere. Or our heavy mortar companies would throw stuff before we attacked these type of places. And after you hit them hard with artillery for a long time, you got to get on them right quick. Because when you're on the receiving end of a bunch of explosives, it takes a lot of air out of you and takes a lot of fight out of you unless you're way down low. And a lot of times, in real deep penetrations, we have to use napalm. They use a lot of napalm gas, which is jelly gasoline by aircraft, shooting it down there and setting the whole place on fire. I recall on numerous occasions where so many were dug in 4 and 5 levels deep, and we couldn't make much progress. So they sent the 82nd Airborne, wasn't the 82nd Airborne, but it's in Europe. It's the Airborne Division were there in the Pacific with us. They put them with us, and they wanted us to take this heavily fortified position, but Japs were dug in 2 or 3 stories down deep in it. You had to go down this long pass to get to it. Well, on the way down, it was some clearing, so we had to put patrols out on each side, the main body going down through there to attack. 11th Airborne, that's who it was. With us, and we going down through there, and once the guy with me, had M1 rifle and sometimes carried a subgun too on the back, and we got underneath this tree, and we kept seeing the stuff falling down on us and seeing the dirt kicking up all around you. So when you see that, you better get down right quick. which we did, was on this grade, and hold your rifle up close to you and put it on safety and roll down the hill. You don't want to get up and run because you'd be killed. Roll down the hill, there's a big shell crater. It's a long line going down, single line. Well, it got stopped because they ran into a lot of heavy resistance up the head of it. Who was this line? Who was in this big dugout? Battalion commander and his radio operator. Me and this staff sergeant, I was a five-stripe sergeant, platoon sergeant, rolled in this hole with the colonel. And the colonel turned around and says, "You men get back up this hill." And staff sergeant turned and told him right to his face, "You go to hell." I remember the very words he said. And about that time, the colonel got shot through the butt, crossways, through both cheeks. That guy jumped up out of his hole and ran up the hill. That's where he didn't get killed. And I remember him hollering, "They got me, boys, they got me, boys." I said, "Here, I can run. They got me, boys." The radio operator him got killed. Got shot right through here, and through his back, and all the radio stuff come out the front of him. So it wasn't a good sight, but we got in that hole. That was a bad part of the war.